weeks.
It is the 30th of January, 2022. This is WIKISPEED Standup. Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay. Yeah. So Michael, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. For the past week, I actually got a few things done. Um, I did some video on how to download some 7-zip and the other utilities that you need to use in order to get the ROS load for the Raspberry Pi on the Sunfounder car up and running. So I got 6 videos posted, and I got another half a dozen done, but not edited. And I'm probably about halfway there. The videos are anywhere from like 45 seconds up to 5 minutes. So um, I'm actually taking the video while I'm figuring out how to do it. So there are some comments about what I run into and what I type wrong and stuff. So that's helpful. And that's about all that I got done. But it's a fairly big chunk of what I was planning to do for next week. Or this past week. Next week I am going to continue with editing the videos, taking more, and making some progress. I had forgotten about using italics and bold to mark up the Linux commands, Python keywords, etc. that I have in the ROS documentation, and I hope to get that done next week, along with the documentation generator that William had mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I want to see if I can find one. And I have the Wi-Fi set up for the Sunfounder Pi, but I'm not streaming video as yet, so hopefully that will get done in the coming week. And blocks, I'm just going to mention again, my back is better, but it's not yet, so I can only sit for like half an hour at a time. That's about it for me. Back to you, Lauren.
Sorry, my tablet was making noises, so I muted. Okay, William.
So, finally, I have something to report about the robot operating system. Finally got it installed on my computer. I still don't know which version I installed. I installed it from the sudo apt install command line, and I was following a tutorial this evening. I was listening to tutorials while I was 3D printing. I finally got the 3D printer working this weekend as well. And now sort of rapidly approaching the time when I could actually interact meaningfully with Michael and or Lauren doing something in ROS. So that's my progress report. And I was wanting to do this for many weeks. It's just sort of really difficult to move around the chess pieces of one's schedule.
Can I ask a question?
Coming week? Oh, sure.
No, you can go ahead first.
Yeah, coming week?
I think the coming week, I would like to complete the tutorial that I'm doing so that I can meaningfully create some ROS software and maybe deploy it. We'll see what happens. And I'm going to maybe at some point start reading your materials and see where I can sort of connect to what you're doing. So I'm hacking through the forest, trying to find your trail.
Any blocks?
Wow, there weren't so many blocks. Well, here's a block, but it's just a block of the cube. There were not so many blocks this week, so I won't say much. Hopefully.
Okay. Wesley.
I was happy to be able to complete my goals, getting 2 suggestions or edits done on the book. Nothing for the manufacturing portion. I hope to start learning more about what you guys are doing and start to really understand it. I will plan on customizing myself more to the edits and hopefully contribute 2 more this week. No blocks. Feeling good.
Okay. Okay, I don't have the other name. Sorry, I should have remembered your name, but
Jubin.
Okay, Jubin. Anything?
Yeah, I had a question, but maybe I can ask when the recording stops.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So I'll do me. It's Lauren Salter, Gabriel Island, British Columbia, Canada. And this past week, I I just now got to start to. I'm still trying to solder a wire, and I figured out what my problem is. I think that I was using a very fine tip that's more for electronics, and so I put back in the kind of much bigger tip, and I'm not waiting long enough. I was yeah, I'm not used to how long you have to wait for the soldering iron to heat up, and okay, it escapes me right now. There was something else I did this week. Anyway, blocks. Likewise, I still have some back pain, but it's coming along a lot better. So I'm anticipating, pardon me, this coming week again, going to get the soldering done and the uh, level tester, the level sensor, which you can talk about in crosstalk if you want, uh, with the LiDAR. And then I probably want to, oh yeah, I I bought another ESP32 because I was ordering something on Amazon and I saw it on sale for $12. So I bought another ESP32. So I have that. So I can work on both level sensors with the IR and the LiDAR. And so that'd be the coming week. And I mentioned my block already. So that's that. And now now we're going to retro. Michael.
Okay, thanks for reminding me that I hadn't said it's Michael Olchuk in Saskatoon, Canada. I should have said that at the beginning of my stand-up, not at the beginning of my retro. But I achieved 5.5 out of 4 for my weekly plan, so I'm giving myself a 10 out of 10. Still got 9 for the team because we have a unified stand-up, and now we're recording. So this is awesome. I think we have more people that were doing the editing on the book, but I don't know if are you guys meeting some other time, or is everybody kind of gotten busy again? Anyway, I guess that's for crosstalk. And I don't have a process improvement besides trying to get everybody on the same stand up. That's it for me.
So I guess I could go. I also got things out of order. So in the same spirit as Michael, this is William Neal from London, Ontario, Canada. And this week on the book, I would say I got a 6 out of 10. As with the robot operating system, I didn't spend all my time, but I definitely got passing grade in my estimation because I did about an hour of work on each. And so that was really exciting to make progress on both fronts. Process improvements, I guess we'll just continually improve. And maybe next week, Michael and I will state our names and locations at the beginning of our retro.
Okay, looks like Lauren is having some bandwidth problems. Oh, and he's gone. Wes, you want to do retro? You're still muted. There we go.
Yeah. It help me understand what I should include in this so I can do a good job.
Sure. You give a score out of 10 for yourself.
Ah,
How you feel about your contributions to the project, and then a score for the team, again out of 10, on what they're doing, and then any process improvement that you think we should do that would just make things more awesome and flow better and that sort of thing.
Okay. So Wesley Acker, Southern California, Los Angeles area. I would rate myself or what I was able to do as a 7.5, considering I'm new, trying to get the feel for it. I feel like I was able to at least adapt. I made my goal of 2 contributions as planned. I feel like the thing that would really help is if there's a time when we can get a full re-edit, and we all know starting from here we're making our next advancements. because there's a lot to read through, and I'm trying to not step on what's already been accomplished. So that's something I would feel would be really great. Otherwise, I feel like being able to hear from other people about it when we have crosstalk or whatever would also be great. It's nice to hear other people's thoughts. I feel like it's going to get us all rolling a little further down the road.
I guess we can take over the meeting from Lorne because he, I hope he's okay. In the West Coast, you never know what happens. Last time we were wondering if he's going to blow away in the wind with snow and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, just further to Wesley's point there, if you want to read through a part of the book that has not been heavily edited, start at chapter 15 or later.
That's where I'm headed.
And I have edited up to chapter 14 at the end of chapter 14, and I've resolved most of mine and everyone else's edits. So it looks like not much has been done, but that's because we've done one pass through. So if you want to start from part 1, go ahead. If you find something that a cat is spelled with an extra E or something, just fix it. If you're not sure, if you're moved to say, oh, maybe I should just put a comment. But you could put a suggestion rather than a comment, then we could just accept it. And then someone else will go through and say, and we made a decision as well. If 2 or more people agreed, that's democratic enough. Because we're not always editing at the same time. So if someone else agrees with your suggestion, we just put it into practice and see where the book goes. So far, it seems to be looking fine, and the book is not on fire yet, as far as I can tell.
Welcome back, Lauren.
We're glad to see you're okay. We're not sure what happened.
Yeah, my internet was acting up today between the tablet and the internet. I got an orange light on the router earlier. I don't know exactly what, but anyway, I'm on the computer now, and I got my ergonomics set up. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, the recording's over. Jubin, you wanted to ask a question when recording.
Yeah, the recording's not over yet. We haven't stopped. So Wes just finished. Do you want to do your retro?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm going to give myself a 6, and a 9 for the team, and a process improvement probably. The one my process improvement is that I'll do the recording in 2 weeks, and I'll use the computer. I'm okay now. Even I've got my knee chair, so. It's one of those knee chairs. Go back.
One of those things that that you actually have to have instructions to get into.
Yes, right. Yes.
More importantly, to get out of without falling on your butt.
They're hazardous. And I actually used it for the first time. The Saskatchewan government used to test chairs on me.
I see. Okay, so that should wrap us up. We're into retro. Is there any retro that you want to discuss on recording? Anyone? Okay, I will make a comment. I am trying to figure out how to introduce the Little Red Wagon project, robot operating system, and Linux and Raspberry Pi, all in a digestible format that isn't so long that people just skip over the video because it's too long. Any pointers would be appreciated because I am a little long-winded most of the time.
5-minute videos. Introduce the first part of ROS, the second and third, and then go into the first part of Linux, the second part and the third. Because Linux could go on forever. ROS, I'm sure, could go on almost forever. And so.
Yeah, but as an intro, how many videos do you want?
Yeah.
Like kind of a summary of here's what we're doing and where we're going. That document that I posted a couple weeks ago is kind of where I'm headed. I've done an edit on it and uploaded that to Wiki Project, but I'm not sure. I'm not a writer, and what I normally do when I don't want people to actually read what I'm doing is I make it a little longer, and then people skip it, and then I do somewhere in the middle it says, if no one objects, this is what I'm going to do.
That's
And
excellent. That's a very good way to get stuff done at work.
it is, but it's not so good. Not so good for open source. So
Yep.
I actually want people to read it. I don't know how to do
Yeah,
that.
Actually, what comes to mind? Just a 5-minute video for each, and then we'll review it. And if the teacher style participants feel that a viewer would benefit from it, then great. If they want more or less detail, then we can have you adjust in the next iteration, or split it
Okay.
into 2, or add another 5 minutes.
So in an intro, would you use visuals?
I tend to.
Okay.
As a teacher, I find the students sort of gravitate to it. But then again, I don't do a lot of lecturing as a teacher. I moved away from that long ago because if you make anything more than 5 minutes, they are not going to listen. It's the same thing as writing a document.
Yeah.
I've got a comment on the audience and the detail. So people who want to develop with the Little Red Wagon, that's something different than I see it as pretty much an end product where you don't have to know a lot about those things. So for the team, yes, and for people and it's open so they can develop with it and do things with it. But I think that there's I don't think you need to assume that somebody hasn't used a computer or something like that. For the end users, yeah. You know, here's what you do.
Yeah.
Here's what you do. Here's the things, the commands, and we will kind of probably simplify those with some way to input instructions, voice or whatever. But in terms of, I don't think you need to assume people are that naive for covering the Linux and the ROS.
Well, one of the things that I have read on pretty much every blog, every YouTube channel that I've ever gone through is somebody wants a review of, okay, what did you start with? Where did you go? Where are you at now? Where do I jump in to do the same, or to get the project started? And everybody's deficient in something. Not everybody is good at Linux, good at ROS, good at robots. So you're not talking down to them. You're trying to explain what you're doing. And if it's short, even the guys that know, even the people that know what they're doing, it's faster just to listen to it than to figure out how to skip forward in YouTube. Because people don't sit in front of their keyboard when they're watching YouTube. At least I certainly don't. I don't know if anybody else does, but so anyway, that's kind of where I was coming from.
Great.
I think it's a ROS issue because if you're working with like Python,
Python's well documented.
Yeah, and also it's well advanced as a user-friendly kind of a thing. ROS is
it's
early,
tricky.
Early stage.
It's a big mess. They've got ROS 1.
It's going to get better, but right now the ROS 1 and ROS 2, they have
ROS is a library though.
I don't even know what ROS is on my computer right now.
Like ROS is more of a library, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the old days of DOS, your word processor had to have a driver for every printer that was out there.
Ouch.
ROS is the system that has the drivers for the radar, the LiDAR, the motors, the controller board, and you've got example code that does pretty much anything, but you have to find it, and everything assumes different. Like you get a signal from the throttle of 0 to 1, and you have to scale your control to the servos to like 300 to 450 or some goofy thing like that. So the code that you're writing is translating between what one library gives you and what the next one expects.
Oh, that's good.
So it's not easy to explain.
Yeah, you got it. You had to be there.
Yeah, it seems to have developed very organically, and you're right, there's a ton of documentation, but it's all really long.
Wow.
It's very ambitious in wanting to be an operating system. And in fact, one of the videos I watched, I think the one I recommended, said the first thing he said was, "This is not an operating system like Linux or iOS or anything.
It's a collection
But
of
it is it. The goal is to be an operating system, to go from whatever phone you had, it had its own operating system. Early in cell phone or smartphone days, they all had their own operating system.
Yep.
To go from that to Android.
Oh, wow.
This is
Maybe we'll
standard.
have Linux phones sooner than we think.
I actually found a Linux phone. They're raising on Kickstarter.
Oh, excellent.
They've
But,
been around for a while. Yeah,
It's both of
Pine.
these
Is it
years.
called Pine?
Pi something. I don't, and it's not the most powerful thing out there, but it supports pretty much everything.
Sorry.
And if you want to see command line on your phone,
Excellent.
Pine.
Actually, I've installed that before.
Command line with your thumbs.
Jubin had a question, but he won't.
Yeah. Let's
know.
get to that.
Do you want it recorded?
Oh,
No, I
Okay.
would rather
Yeah, so
not.
we're going to end the recording and then we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop it. Just give me a second.